Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Monday, May 19th, 2014. And welcome to RoopleeTV episode 17. I am so glad to actually be able to make it today. So if you see, I'm wearing different headphones. My old headphones broke. The jack broke. I'll just have to get a new headphone jack for that. Shouldn't be a big deal. My computer is underneath my feet right now on its last legs. And luckily, I was able to put in a video card into it, but you know what? We're here. Bam. I didn't have, I was able to get my shave all nice and good and everything, so that's good. But, yeah, very eventful, but I'm glad you can make it, and we're here. Sweet. Other news, Meracle played Dota, and he played Meepo. Yes! So we're going to be going over a Meepo game today, and I think what I'm going to do in the future is I'm going to start going, or for the upcoming few episodes, I'm going to start going over heroes that people get in their compendiums that they always complain about. So heroes that happen to be my favorite heroes are the heroes that people don't like or don't know how to play as well. So the Meepo, Visage, Earth Spirit, Enchantress, Chen, Enigma. Enigma's not as complained about as other ones, but Puck, those kind of heroes. I'm going to start going over those heroes, and then from that we will hopefully be able to get everyone's compendium finished, because if you guys didn't know, there's a 10 hero compendium challenge, and you have to play 10 heroes to get the bonus, but a lot of people are branching out and playing heroes they haven't played before. So we're going to start going over that and just helping you guys learn individual heroes a little bit for the next couple of weeks or so, just so you guys can finish out your compendiums. This one is kind of a dual episode. So we have Meepo, who's personally my favorite hero and my most successful hero, and B, we have Meracle playing Meepo. So two birds with one stone. I love Meepo, and I've played him like over 200 games, so I know a little bit about Meepo, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to analyze Meracle's Meepo play and what you guys can do as a Meepo player to at least get that one win in. So Meepo can be played as a mid lane, he can be played as a safe lane, he also can be played as a roaming support. In my opinion, the roaming support position is the most difficult to play really well, but it is also the one that if you mess up is not as bad. So take that for what it is, but anyway, we're going to go right into the game. So here is the game. Nice game ID. This is from the TI4 Southeast Asia Qualifiers. This is Scythe versus Arrow Gaming. Strangely enough, this game didn't even really matter because Scythe was already knocked out and Arrow was already in the top 2. Or at least in the top 4. They did very, very well in the SEA qualifiers. So this game didn't really matter. But either way, we're going into it, and it has some fantastic play. So let's hop right on into the game. Sweet. So let me go ahead and just skip a little bit. We're going to go free camera on this one. So one thing that's going to be interesting about this is I'm going over a single hero, Meepo, but he tends to be like everywhere at the same time. So the camera's going to jump around quite a bit, even though there's only one hero here. And no broadcaster. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and just hop in a little bit more. A few things we're going to cover as far as the Meepo pick goes is we are going to, well, first go all the way back to the beginning.
Places.
Okay, so go to the very, very beginning. So here is the lovely, the wonderful Meracle, and he's going to be playing Meepo. So first thing I want to go over is starting items on Meepo. Starting items, from all my experience, should be as follows. You should get a Ring of Protection, Tangos, Salve, and then maybe whatever else, branches, I don't know. I usually don't get anything else since Iron Branches don't translate as well as in the early game as other heroes. But that's the general build-up for him. If you're going roaming support, you should get, hopefully, Boots of Speed and Tangos, assuming you have a support who can buy Courier and Wards early on. That is one of his most powerful setups, is the Boots of Speed plus Tango, because Boots always carry over to every other Meepo. And he has a lot of move speed. He has actually, if we look, 315 base move speed now. It got bumped by 10 more. So massive, massive move speed. The reason you get the Ring of Protection is because you can either make a Ring of Basilisk or Tranquil Boots out of it. Same idea. You just try to rush those boots as quickly as possible because those are the most important thing on Meepo. So those should be your starting items in general. And you go and you get boots. Tranquils are for roaming. Treads are for tankiness if you're behind, or if you need that extra mana for jungling, you can tread switch into that, but that's a little advanced. The strength treads are really, really good on him, and I'll explain why later once he actually goes and gets his boots. But for now, boots are super important on Meepo, most important thing. And then Blink Dagger into Scepter into just all sorts of stat items. You basically want to go for stat items. That is the big key. So let's hop on into the game. We've got a lot of time here and a lot to talk about. So we'll go ahead and hop in. So as we can see, Meracle did opt for the Boots Tango build. And this means he generally wants to be pretty aggressive on his Meepo, because he has higher move speed than anybody else in the game right now. 315 plus 50, 365 move speed. I mean, nobody else even compares to that. 300 on Mirana base. I mean, like, he can chase down anybody. A very popular early item with Meepo is the Orb of Venom, because it does stack with his Geostrike. So if you get an early Orb of Venom, you can chase down anybody with it. And his skill build is another thing that's really, really flexible. So maxing out your level 1 is usually either Earthbind or Poof, depending on if you're aggressive or if you're defensive. Aggressive and you think you can get a first kill, Earthbind. If not, go for Poof. Other than that, his build is really, really flexible. As long as you have one in each of the three, you're pretty well off. If you max out Poof first, that is definitely a farming build. You can go into the jungle and you can farm extremely fast. Geostrike, I'd say, is the most aggressive build, because that means you'll be in their face and you'll be slowing them down with multiple Meepos. So if you're really heavy on ganking, Geostrike, because it stacks, is just incredible. Topple that with the Orb of Venom and you're unstoppable. The nets, I would suggest 1 or 2 early on, depending on how good you are with nets. The better you are, the less points you need in it, because if you can close the gap and get close to them, the Earthbind doesn't do any benefit to you other than a cooldown difference. It's cooldown and 250 range per level. So that's when you go for that. But in general, we'll see what Meracle actually goes for. He is going up against a huge pain of a lane. Lich plus Timbersaw. He is able to secure a last hit, but at the cost of half of his hit points. So he's not going to be able to get hardly anything done in this lane right now, but it's kind of expected. They actually see axes in the jungle right now, and Ancient Apparition is going to rotate away so that we can get a little bit of farm elsewhere. This lane is awful for a few reasons, actually. This is actually one of the worst lanes you could go up against as Meepo. So Lich denies experience, which slows down your level 3. Level 3 is super important for Meepo. That's when you first get your second Meepo and can start roaming. So he's just trying to get his level 3 as quick as possible, even going and sapping some of Axe's experience to grab that little bit to get level 3. Because once he's level 3, he is essentially literally double as good. Literally twice as good as a hero. So super duper important to get that. So his goals right now in this lane, so this is a very difficult lane for Meracle, but his goals are stay alive. That's always a goal, just to stay alive. Secondly, get level 3. Stay alive, get level 3. Those are his 2 biggest goals right now. If he can get farm, he will get farm and then go for boots. I said before I'll talk about the boots, so we'll go ahead and just go back into the game since I can talk while he's playing, and then talk about what kind of boots to get. So, in general, on Meepo, if you roam a lot, you go for Tranquils. If you need the defense, you go for Treads. Boots of Travel are a luxury item, but extremely efficient because each one has a separate cooldown. And I've never gotten phase boots on Meepo, so I can't speak to that, but I feel like it leaves him vulnerable. So anyway, as we can see, Meracle does get level 3, so that means he will be able to do... He has a lot more options open with the Poof, the Earthbind, and 2 Meepos. He has a lot of options open, but against the Timbersaw and Lich, he's not going to be able to do much. Lich has Constant Harass plus Sacrifice to deny experience, and Timbersaw has one of the highest burst AoE damages in the game, and it's all pure damage too, which really hurts Meepo throughout the entire game. So this is a huge pain of a lane, and he got 2 points in Whirling Death just to do more damage and not worry about... I mean, it's more mana efficient, so he's going to be able to spam it more often than getting these 2 spells. See, that would be 60 plus 70 for, you know, 200 damage, but now he can get 150 for 80 damage, or for 80 mana. So way more mana efficient, and he's just going to be able to spam it all day long. And like I said, pretty tough lane for Meracle. So Meracle, what he did is he went back. He got the Tranquil boost because he's planning on roaming a lot. We can actually see he's going to be able to get his health back, but he got this because it also gives a lot of move speed as well. So he's not really in any trouble or danger whatsoever. 405 base or 405 move speed with the Tranquils. You can see his health is actually up to full pretty much. And what he's going to do is he's just going to sap the experience. Tranquils are also nice because they don't get broken by magic damage. So he just took that nuke right there from the Lich and then just went back up to full. But he's going to be able to go up here and get something else done on the map because this lane is pretty well lost. Like, Scythe made the decision to pretty much sacrifice that entire lane just so that they can get advantages elsewhere on the map and by other heroes. So they've got an Axe jungling, for example, among other things. And, you know, Meepo's up here, and then Ancient Apparition, I don't even know where he's at. He is down here, actually. Just trying to, I guess he's getting some experience. But he does see the advantage of... So, Meepo has always been up here with one, or Meracle has always been up here with one of his Meepos and down here. And this is actually a twofold advantage. So, what Meracle is doing is he is spacing out his 2 Meepos to the complete opposite corners of the map. And that means if one of them is in trouble, he can poof away to the other one where it's hopefully less dangerous because he was getting ganked on the other side. So, that keeps him safe because he essentially has a Nature's Prophet teleport on a 1.5 second cooldown. Or 1.5 second cast time instead of 2.5 for a Nature's Prophet. So he can get away from things faster than Nature's Prophet as long as he plays smart. But it also works offensively as well. If he sees an advantage in another lane, he can put all of his resources into that lane. And at the same time, he's getting full experience from the main lane while being elsewhere on the map. So, nice kudos to Meracle for doing that. And he's actually going to take advantage of it here. So, they looks to be a kill on the Gyrocopter. He goes in, but Nyx has an amazing stun. He's just not able to get the kill on the Gyrocopter. On the Nyx Assassin, neither on the Nyx Assassin. So, what I was talking about earlier with Meepo's skill build is that he does not have a point in Geostrike. That Geostrike would have slowed him down by 10% if he would have gotten a point into it. So that would have slowed him down from 300 to 270. Pretty decent difference because the 2 of them stack. So the 2 slows stack, and he would have been able to slow down. And if he would have gotten an Orb of Venom on top of that, it stacks additively. So he would have had the 22%, which would have probably been enough to get that kill, but he did not have the Orb of Venom, nor did he have the point in the Geostrike. So neither one really actually worked out for him. So he's just going to be able to farm up here. Nyx Assassin gets pushed back, and Gyro gets pushed to the tower, but Another advantage of Meepo right here is that one of them got injured, so he can just send that back, and the other one is still just being completely active. Actually being able to farm right here. As far as the lane that he was previously in, that is being sacrificed right now. Timbersaw is getting free farm. Ancient Apparition is just trying to grab whatever experience he can from it, and that's about it. So that's all his entire lane is doing. But oh, speaking of stuff and things, hold on. What did I miss? What did I miss? So I think he was just farming the jungle right here. I'm pretty sure that's all he was doing. I don't think he got jumped on. No, he didn't. He just farmed the jungle and then he ran away. So he did poof his other Meepo after he sent it back to the base to finish off this double stack camp, and just denies this lane of any form of pulling whatsoever. So Nyx Assassin is under leveled. He got, you know, he would be almost level 4 if he would have gotten that, but instead Meepo was able to get it and get his level 5. I'm talking way too fast for my own good. So Meracle does what I call a mistake. He puts both of his Meepos up in here, kind of calls his own death warrant out, but is unable to convert it into a kill, so that was not necessarily the best thing to happen. But he still has a TP scroll, and he can still TP down here and grab experience as soon as he's respawned. So he's going to grab experience from the lane with one Meepo. And you might be wondering right now how he can safely farm right here. Well, the answer is twofold. First off, by the tier 1 tower in the bottom, he can't. Flat out, he can't really farm safely. Except for the fact that he has poof. So he will be able to get away. If we look at the enemy team, all they have to slow him down is Nyx Assassin's stun and Ember Spirit's Searing Chains. So that's all he has to worry about as far as being able to poof away from anything. Now, Ember Spirit is actually invisible coming this way, but because of the change to Ember Spirit's Searing Chains, he only gets a 2-second disable tops. So that's not very much at all. And he'll be able to get away before he dies. And the Nyx Assassin is up here. So Meracle feels pretty safe up here. Surprisingly, he feels pretty safe on top of their tier 1. He will save his poof so that he doesn't have to worry about it, but he will use his other Meepo to go into the jungle and get more experience and just divide his resources up. So he will be, as he is dividing his resources up, he'll be getting more experience and more gold than he normally would. He's just farming the small camps right now. One thing that I like to do as Meepo personally, especially since he's going the greedy poof build, or the farming build I should call it, is that he should be getting this large camp stacked. Axes in the jungle, which really hurts him off. One thing I want to point out, which is completely irrelevant to Meepo, but super important in games, is if you're a jungle axe, drop your boots before you attack the camp. Just check this out. So he drops his boots, and what this does is it doesn't deactivate the tranquil buff, and then when you pick up the boots again, you'll be able to get your health regen right away. You don't get the armor from it, but you constantly get that tranquil boots buff. It's super awesome. Obviously situational, but super awesome thing to do, and a nice little trick. So cool. Anyway, so one other thing I wanted to point out here is, check this out. So we have Timbersaw right here. Check out his experience. And then we have Meepo right here. So what happens is Meepo kills them and Timbersaw gains a level. So he knows that somebody was farming this camp, most likely the Meepo. And that also means that since Meepo likes to farm, he will probably go and farm the large camp. You can see he does a complete, just looks around, does a 180, and then finds the Meepo. Just flat out finds him because he gained that experience. So the reason Timbersaw got that kill is because he gained a level from Meepo killing that camp, which is super unfortunate for Meracle, but it happens. Obviously, it just did. But yeah, anyway, Meracle's going to be able to come back, and he'll be back alive again. Ta-da! So he has another TP scroll. He's actually spending quite a bit on TP scrolls. I'm not surprised if he'll just walk out, but there's actually a wave coming this way, so he wants to make sure he gets this experience in gold, which he does get 3 of them. So not bad, not bad. And Mirana's doing the best that she can to help fight them off. She actually tried to go on Timbersaw with the axe, and that did not work out for them. But it's okay. It actually clears up the lane and will let Meracle farm a bit better. One thing to note is that Meepo, once Nyx hits level 6, which he is almost level 6, is kind of like a walking target. He does have extra 10% spell resist because he's Meepo. He has 35 instead of 25, which does help, but at the same time, if Nyx jumps on top of him with Timbersaw or Lich or Ember Spirit, he's probably dead. Or Gyrocopter, actually. So he kind of has to watch out. Yeah, so notice how Meracle, he'll hop over here and he hops like away and sideways. Is he's just trying to secure his experience. Like, that's flat out what he's trying to do, because more experience means more farm on Meepo. It's like, once you really want to hit level 3 and then you want to hit level 10 at a decent time, because once you do that you'll be able to farm. But as we can see, Timbersaw plus Gyrocopter. Timbersaw's burst damage is just insane. This is, what, 220 pure damage. And then this is magical damage, but it's pure if it hits a tree, so there's 200. So there's 400 damage. And it ignores his 35% spell resist. So Timbersaw is extremely good against Meepo. And he's dead again. So he's back to the fountain, but he'll be back again. Obviously the game is not going well at all for Scythe. Or, you know, for Meracle in general, but never give up, never surrender, and he's going for more. Glutton for punishment. But he's still getting last hits, and he's still getting farm. He's, you know, 800 away from his dagger, but this is what I was talking about. Once Nyx hits level 6, he's in a world of trouble if anybody else is there, and that was just simple for them to take that down. It's 1-8 right now, and Meracle is in a world of hurt, but he's still, on the plus side, even though he has 4 deaths, he still has 49 last hits, which is pretty respectable. Always aim for that, you know, 50 at 10 minutes is a good goal to aim for in games when you're a safe lane solo farmer, but as Meepo, obviously, you should be getting more. And with 4 deaths, he still has a decent amount, so he's doing pretty well. Obviously, considering everything else, considering all of the deaths, he's still getting good stuff. So maybe he'll come and he'll stack this camp. Hopefully he will. Yeah, it looks like he will. So he's going to stack this camp while at the same time getting experience mid alongside Ancient Apparition. We'll see if that stack may stack and may not. But this is how you maximize your farming with Meepo. You try and stack the camps while at the same time farming whatever lanes are open or whatever lanes you can. See, we have Mirana is roaming a lot, so Meepo can run and he can try and, you know, soak up the farm. But again, we've got Nyx Assassin scouting out Meepo, and we've got Gyrocopter coming this way too. The stun, the Gyro ult, and Meracle's dead. So number 5 or number 4, 5, yeah. Stop. Please. Please stop. Yep. Please stop. So, Meracle is obviously having a world of pain. He can't do anything at all. But one advantage to Meepo is he is very much a snowball hero, which plays into good effect if you're behind, because if you're behind and you start doing well, you will do really, really well. But if you get too far behind to be relevant, that's when the game's just flat out over. So he can really honestly catch up from this. See, he is able to at this point. So pause time. Right now, Meracle is going to farm the middle lane and the safe lane at the same time. And the reason behind this is not because it's the safest move to do. I mean, he sees that his teammates are dying up top, but the reason he is doing this is because he needs to take a risk. They are very far behind, particularly Meracle is very far behind. And as far as Scythe goes, Meracle is very, very important for their team. And he knows he has to take a risk. So what he does is he splits up, takes 2 different lanes, hopes that if one of them gets ganked, he can poof away before he dies. But he is getting 2 lanes of solo EXP right now, which is huge if he can keep it going. So he is actually going to be in the middle lane while at the same time being at the bottom lane. Like I said, 2 lanes of solo experience at the same time. Super, super fast and super efficient. He's not going to be able to stay, obviously, any form of danger when he's farming 2 lanes at the same time. So he's just going to come down here and right-click a camp, basically. Uses poof whenever he can, and then just right-click the camp while at the same time being down here and farming. So there's a lot going on up top, which means that he's safe to farm all the way to the tower and then some down here. Like, he is safe to farm whatever. He sees there's all of this going on. Even though his team is dying as well as killing, it's not that. I mean, like, he can't go in and he cannot help. He does not have a blink dagger or level 10. So right now, I want to call this the turning point for Meracle. So he hit level 10, which on Meepo, quick quiz, there are 2 heroes in Dota that get their ultimate at levels other than 6, 11, and 16. One of them is Meepo. Do you know the other one? If you guessed Invoker, you're right. Cool. Figured I'd... Little trivia for you. So this is the turning point for Meepo. He's level 10, which means he gets 3 Meepos. He just got over 2150 gold, so he can get his Blink Dagger. And the reason behind Meepo getting a Blink Dagger is as such. So he got the Tranquil Boots to be able to roam well. His team is really far behind, but he will be needed by his team very, very soon. If he goes for an Ags Rush, the game will be over and they will lose. Like, straight up, if he goes for the Scepter, they will lose by the time he gets the Scepter. So he must go for the Blink Dagger and he must make something happen for this game to still be relevant. So what he does is he sends one Meepo back, buys the Blink Dagger. There is an Invis rune here, which he could potentially use, but he's just going to send this back, send one back while still farming with the other 2. Actually just sending another one back. But he's going to be able to pick up his dagger. I think he has, yeah, he has a TP scroll as well. But as you can see, people are just dying left and right. And one thing that he's going to be able to take advantage of is that right here, Timbersaw gets arrowed. So Meepo has Blink, Meepo has 3 Meepos, and Meepo is going to explode some heroes. So Timbersaw right now is a huge target at 6 kills and 0 deaths, 5 assists. But as you can see, he just runs in, blinks, poofs, kills 2 heroes, gets the kill. So Nyx Assassin blinks in, thinking he can get a kill. He has the blink, so he tries to get a kill, but cannot. And then right here, so Ember Spirit, even with the level 3 Flame Guard, has very little in the form of magic damage. So Geostrike is passive damage, it's physical damage. It does a total of 14 damage over 2 seconds per Meepo, so that's not negligible. That's an extra Meepo hit for every 3 of these. For every round of hits, it's pretty much like 4 Meepos are hitting you. So it's a decent amount of damage, and it's all physical, and Ember Spirit doesn't have any protection against all of this physical damage. So he's just going to beat on them, and then Ember died too. So triple kill, well, I mean 2 kills for Meracle, and 1 for Ancient Apparition. But from that moment, he was able to get a point booster and get 200 gold. That's the Timbersaw itself gave 799 gold, I believe. Let's check. 799, yes. So right down here, he gets the net. So one thing I want to note about net is that net will cancel channeling spells but they will not if they're already netted. So you have to wait for the 2 seconds for the net to disappear and then hit another one in order to cancel any form of channeling spells. Usually most pertinent for TP scrolls, but just know the first one cancels as well as ones when they're not already netted. So Timbersaw does run up and he does get the kill on Meracle, but he dies at the same time. And one thing that's really bad about that for Arrow is that Timbersaw's level 14. He's like 4 levels higher than anybody on the side of Scythe. So him dying twice right there just gave a huge experience boost. So if we actually look, the experience is going way down and it hops up instead of down, which is huge because it's still going in the downtrend generally. If you look, that was probably somewhere in the ballpark of like 5,000 experience. Maybe 4,000, 3,000, let's say 3,000 experience that Timbersaw gave out. I don't know exactly how much it was, but it was a lot of experience for everybody. And once Meepo has the Blink Dagger, he is going to separate one Meepo from the rest of the Meepos. The way I usually do this is I put Meepo in a control group, the main one. I put all of the other ones in a different one, and then I put all of the Meepos into a separate control group. It's the simplest way to play if you have items like Blink Daggers. Now, honestly, you're probably not going to go for a Blink Dagger your first Meepo game because it's not terribly easy. Just doing the poofs itself is not terribly easy. I would say if you are just playing Meepo for the first time, get treads. Try to go scepter if you're carry Meepo, but if you're not, just go for, you know, people say like Vlad's and mech, but I would say just go for scepter, pretty much, unless you're a support Meepo, in which case you better just hope for the best. Because it's hard to itemize without the scepter because he doesn't get any stat sharing whatsoever. So
like we lost one.
Meracle's down here. He's not really helping his team out at all until he can get into position. So he's able to get the net onto Ember Spirit, and another net, but it looks like DDZ was trying to run through and just not able to get that. And the increased move speed from Axe gives them another kill on the Lich. So triple kill for Chibix. And Meepo, as a hero, gets 1 instance of experience per Meepo. So he is getting 300% experience. I didn't even see that guy. So there's a Nyx Assassin still up here. Kills Mirana, but he's dead. I just zoomed back 10 seconds just so that you guys can see it. But yeah, he's dead. So Meepo gets experience per Meepo, which means in team fights that's both a good and a bad thing. Because if Meepo stays alive, he gets a lot of experience where the rest of his team doesn't get that much. So he counts as 3 heroes right now as far as experience goes. So if it's him and one other person, then the other person only gets 25% of the total experience instead of 50% like they would get from the heroes. So it makes your other heroes, like especially the Ancient Apparition, is only level 8. And that's part of the reason. So you have to be really careful at a high level, obviously, with Meepo when you're doing that. So right now he's just trying to stack this camp, just like is always good. And on Meepo, you should always focus on stacking the large camps because there won't be any mud golems, so no spell immunity. And ancients aren't terribly good for Meepo because he can't just poof them down. Meepo can take down any size camp that he wants to once he has 3 points in poof. Pretty much just takes 2 rounds by 2 Meepos and you can kill any camp. So super efficient farming. In fact, from getting that, I don't even know what time it was, the Blink Dagger, like a 14-minute Blink Dagger, he was able to get an 18-minute Scepter. So he has 4 Meepos now, and 100% stat sharing, which means that, so the reason why everybody rushes Scepter on Meepo is twofold. Usually people rush it for the increased burst damage, which is why you go Scepter and Blink Dagger. If you're carry, you generally go Scepter first and then Blink Dagger, just because if you're getting free farm, you might as well get that 13-minute Scepter or 14-minute Scepter to help you farm faster with another Meepo. But it also gives you another instance of poof and right-click damage, so more damage. And the second reason is obviously to get 100% stat sharing so you can scale into the late game with your items. And you will see that shortly after Scepter, or sometime after Scepter, it's usually a good idea to switch out your Tranquil Boots for something else. If you're doing really well, get Boots of Travel and you can be everywhere on the map. If you're doing not so hot, get Treads, because the Treads, you get the 8 of that stat for each Meepo because they're wearing the boots, and then you share 100% of the stat. So you get another instance of that 8. So you get 16 of whatever stat. And for, 1,450 gold, 16 of a stat is fantastic that you can switch around too. So it just makes you extremely tanky and extremely powerful, which is why I say you should not hold on to your Tranquil Boots too terribly long after you get a Scepter. It's not that efficient. Now, some might say that selling the boots and buying different boots because you can't disassemble Tranquil Boots anymore would be bad, but it's still worth it. It definitely is still worth it to switch those out for Treads or Boots of Travel. Like I said, Boots of Travel if you're doing well, and Treads if you're not. Or Treads if you just need that extra tankiness. Like, if your team is behind, Treads will give you that extra inch. Boots of Travel will not give you any defense whatsoever. It's if you can't team fight and you know that you can't team fight. So, Meracle's doing what Meepo does best, which is takes his other Meepos. See, look, right now he takes his other 3 Meepos, pushing one lane, and his main Meepo in this lane right here. So, he's going to just be pushing, but at the same time, he knows he can fight because he has Scepter and he has 4 Meepos. So he teleports in with one while he's still pushing with the other ones for now. But at any time he can just come in, he can net, and this gyrocopter is extremely bad. There's nothing the gyrocopter can do about that. And they're able to convert this into a tower kill too, and also Roshan. So Meepo is one of the better Roshan killers, but he is also, in my opinion, the best Aegis carrier in the game, because he can continuously do damage, and if he can just stay alive for a second life, he is amazingly powerful. Now, he's getting whittled down quite a bit by the Timbersaw. So the Timbersaw threw that in and almost killed a couple of the Meepos. In fact, Ember Spirit just picks off one of them right away. Aegis will respawn on the main Meepo. One thing to note is that it will always respawn on your main Meepo. So just keep that in mind if you have your Meepo split up, is that they will always come to whichever one is your Meepo Prime, the one with all the items on it. So if we look, this Ursa is just going literally as slow as possible, which is 100. Also, Meepo did hit level 17, which is the point for his level 3 ultimate, and he's just going to have 5 guys now. Like I said, the easier way is to have all of your other Meepos do one thing, and your main Meepo do something else, just because you have that Blink Dagger on your main Meepo and can initiate at any time, and are ready to initiate. So, for example, he's going to probably try and initiate on Ember Spirit here. We'll see. Yep, there he goes. He nets in. The slow actually plays a big help in Ember Spirit, since Ember Spirit's remnants go 1.5 times his movement speed. If he can get enough Geostrikes in, he can slow him down. But he actually does a really good job of pincering him in with a blink, while at the same time having another Meepo right here. And Ember cannot escape, and he gets a kill. So, like I was saying before, the normal, regular way to play Meepo is to just have all the other ones together, but as you play him more and more, if you choose to, you can actually split this 4 into groups of 2, so you can have 2 fight this camp, 2 fight this camp, or 2 fight this camp and 2 fight this camp, and then you can rotate them to the various other parts of the jungle while still always being ready to poof onto your main Meepo. What I was talking about earlier, so item-wise, for Meracle, is he is going Ultimate Orb. Plus 10 to all attributes for all Meepos. It makes it pretty tanky. He has 1851 hit points, which is actually more than Axe by 200, and he has more armor than Axe too. So each Meepo is more tanky than Axe. Now, when people say that Meepo is a squishy hero, that is, after you get Scepter, that is completely false. Like, he is the biggest hit points of anyone on the game, in the game right now. I'm pretty sure he does. The other Meepos only have 1,600 hit points because they don't have the point booster bonus from the Scepter, but that's okay. Lots of things being thrown over to the Timber Saw to try and catch him out, but nothing is successful. So, as you can see, it's always really easy for me to pick out the main Meepo because the main Meepo is always separated from the rest of the Meepos. He's just standing right here. If somebody does come into this, he's just going to be able to poof his main Meepo in, and his main Meepo will have a poof cooldown, but that doesn't matter because the other ones can poof on top of him, and he has a blink. So nobody came, so he just gets out, gets a couple of them stuck, but that's okay. Poof is on a 6-second cooldown, so he can just get out of there and go. So Meepo is gone. He's just going to farm the jungle. He should be sending 1 here, 2 here, and 2 at the bigger camps, but that's a minor detail. And like I said, it's only for after you've played a lot of games on Meepo that you can feel safe doing that. So Meepo does go for 2 ultimate orbs, which is the Eye of Skady, which is a good item. It's a really good pickup, a solid pickup I'd say on him because it has a ton of stats and is, you know, very item slot efficient and has a decent build up because it's just the plus stats. So it's a really good item for him. If you are doing well, getting the sheep directly after the Scepter and Blink is amazing on Meepo because once you get the Hex, you can solo anybody in the game. Meepo has insane burst damage, and he lacks like the pure disable that the Hex gives him. So being able to blink in and poof in like that makes him really, really powerful. So right here, Meepo is just waiting for the big spells to finish before he can jump in. That's his goal right now. So he's waiting for the big spells to finish. See, Gyrocopter's call down is gone. His flat cannon is gone. Lich still has his ultimate, so that's one thing. But he's waiting for the big spells to be gone. Ember Spirit only has 1 remnant, but he doesn't really have any big spells with long cooldowns for him to fear. Timbersaw is always going to have something active. So he waits up here until the big spells are off cooldown, and then he jumps in. The Lich ult still catches him, as well as Chakram, and just Timbersaw's amazingly annoyingness. And also, reactive armor is really good against Meepo, because each hit increases his armor by 1 for up to 16. So, really, really good. Really good against Meepo. I would say if there's one hero I don't like playing against, it's the Timbersaw. He is like the worst thing ever. People tend to think that like either single target Crazy Burst or Earthshaker are really good, but a good Meepo player can actually overcome that. You can either bait out Earthshaker's ult to solo ult on Meepo, and then you can just win the team fight because Earthshaker's worthless now. Or you can just wait until he uses his ult and then poof in the other Meepos. So, even against Earthshaker, it's not necessarily like hard to overcome, but a good Timbersaw will always be able to crush Meepo. There's just no question about it. He is very, very painful to play against. So, I would say that's actually the biggest threat. Gyrocopter is not that big of a threat because his burst damage to a single target is not enough to really make Meepo scared. Meepo as a hero hates AoE big disables and especially AoE slows. Long duration slows and disables are his biggest fears. So like anything that's just going to slow everything down is really, really bad for Meepo. Ancient Apparition is really good against Meepo too because of that. He has a slow and he has the Ice Blast is painful and you can't get any heals during it, so it's really painful. But anyway, Meracle is actually splitting up his Meepos. 2 in the jungle, 2 in the lane, 1 to kill. So, I really like this, that he's able to do this, but still have to watch out. That's only a Gyrocopter. I say only a Gyrocopter, meaning that Meracle at any time could easily kill this Gyrocopter. He only has 1,000 hit points, and he could kill him in about 3 seconds. Which is also why I say the Hex is really good on him, because Meepo, in general, can kill heroes in about 3 or 4 seconds. Which is hex duration, strangely enough. So the burst damage from Meepo is able to just go in, poof, kill, kill, kill. Like, poof does a lot of damage. It does 140 per instance at both places. So he's doing 280 damage essentially per Meepo if he stands on top of somebody, and that's like, for 5 Meepos, that's a lot of damage, and it's like 1,000 after magic resist in an AoE. So I don't know too many other heroes that can do 1,000 damage in an AoE on a 6-second cooldown.
The Dire couldn't hang on to that mid tower.
Yeah, Meepo's strengths. But anyway, what Meracle's doing right now is he's just, since they just won that team fight, he's able to farm the enemy jungle. And this is just part of the, like, the snake tactics, as I like to call them. So, I've talked about this a little bit before. Not real headphones. But I've talked about this a little bit before, and the whole, if you're able to farm in the enemy's jungle safely, you should, because that cuts down the enemy team's total experience that they have available on the map and total gold they have available on the map. Now, Meracle is able to farm the entire enemy jungle as much as he wants right now, like for the next minute or until everybody comes back. So he'll be able to do one round through the entire enemy jungle, and that clears up the ally jungle. As we will see, it clears up his own jungle, and Ancient Apparition will be able to go down here, slowly kill some creeps, but he'll still be able to kill some creeps. And everybody else is just safe. Flat out safe, because Meracle is able to just stand up wherever. One point I do want to make is the Elder Titan is a really good ally for Meepo, because the natural order is amazing for the spell damage and physical damage that Meepo puts out. It just increases that burst. And more importantly, he doesn't get in the way. So things that really stop Meepo as well are like cogs and fissures and things like that. They're super painful. But anyway, so Meracle's plan is he can actually go and push this top lane with 4 Meepos. He'll just keep them and hide them up here. If one person comes and tries to defend, he will be able to kill one person no matter who it is. If multiple people come, he will get away. And if nobody comes, he'll be able to push the tower safely. So it kind of puts the other team on the back foot. It definitely puts them on the back foot, and they just can't really do anything about it. But as we can see, Meracle continues to farm the enemy jungle, which frees up, is actually a pretty safe spot considering where the entire other team is right now. But he will be going, and he will be, I'm sure he'll be going and helping out soon. Maybe not. He'll actually just be taking those lanes. So Meracle did get treads on Meepo. He did actually end up getting treads. See, he has 3,000 hit points after the eye. He does have an ultimate orb as well, but he has strength treads. So he has plus 16 strength on the other Meepos, so they all have 2,700 hit points. And 18 armor, and his main one has 3,000 hit points, 3,070 now, and 19 armor. So they all have 19 armor, but he has an insane amount of health and armor and 35% magic resist. So he is quite easily the tankiest hero on either team, even above Timbersaw. He has 1,000 more hit points. He has he actually has less armor than Timbersaw. So Timbersaw is about the same as 1 Meepo as far as overall tankiness goes. So cool. Yeah, Meepo's super, super tanky right now. And he's just playing the farm game. He's going to be able to farm other lanes where most other heroes cannot. This is very similar to how Morphling farms. Meepo can farm similarly, but obviously it's more dangerous because you have clones, and if anything gets caught out, you die. But at the same time, if you don't, you have more damage, and you can actually you can kill faster with the other Meepo. With Meepo, over Morphling. So you can kill with all 5 Meepos versus just Morphling by himself farming. Yeah. But anywho, he's just going to go, and See, he has another ultimate orb. He's going to go for the sheep after the Eye of Skady. There's no other logical item you get. Well, I guess you can get Mantis Style as well. So he really wants all of the stats that he can possibly get. Mantis Style is really cool because you can actually poof to Meepo clones and illusions. So the Mantis Style gives him the ability to poof to illusions, but as you can see, he got caught out by 4. The main downside of Meepo when you do go like that is that you, no matter where you are on the map, if one Meepo dies, they all die, obviously. So that was what makes him really hard. But in your games, if you play Meepo, just focus on, at the very least, I mean, at the very most, have your main Meepo and the rest of your Meepos. Because, oh, he does buy back right here, so get back into the action. He comes back, he blinks in, a little delayed, and then he goes, and he's just trying to get something out of this. As you can see, the Meepo is taking almost no damage from Chain Frost. Oh, barely misses the net. So, they didn't get any kills, but they got map control, and Roshan is up. So, they might be able to take Roshan here, since Gyrocopter is dead and everybody else is forced back to the base. We'll see. He actually does check, and he sees it there, so he's going to fight it right away, as quickly as possible, get something out of the buyback. And it doesn't really matter too much, the gold that was spent on the buyback for Meepo. Obviously, it sucks, but that's okay. I just mean that, like, the gold is not too much of an importance right now. He is pretty well farmed. The buyback cooldown is a pretty big deal, but as you can see, those slows just, like, destroy him. He's already at, like, half health, pretty much. Another thing that's helping Meepo out is that Ember Spirit was not able to get a Battle Fury. He went for Maelstrom instead. Battle Fury is amazingly good against Meepo because it does the damage to all. The cleave just makes it so many more hits for Sleight of Fist. And makes Meepo cry at night and cry during the day. And cry all the time. So, yeah. Anyway. Cool. So, Meepo is able to farm. Meracle is just going to be able to farm on Meepo. As you can see, farm one camp, farm a lane, and go roam. That's kind of the goal. Like, farm as many lanes as you're comfortable with, including jungles. And with your main Meepo, just go around and try and keep with your team. This Meepo should be... You should be ready at all times to be able to fight. And that's kind of what he's doing with his main Meepo. He's just... But he's right now, he does go for the Scythe of Ice. So, he gets the Scythe. And now he'll be able to kill anybody. If anybody gets caught off guard. And he'll also be a huge help for the team because he will be one more disable on top of their very small amount of disables. Yeah, that's how good the Scythe is, because that was Gyrocopter and he just died. He just melted. Now, keep in mind that Meracle still has the Aegis, but he's obviously not going to want to burn it right there. The main one's going to have to go back. And right now, so one thing I want to note that I was talking about earlier that could come into play right now is that if Meepo dies right now, he will teleport back to where the main Meepo is. So the main Meepo is all the way down here, and that's where all of his Meepos will respawn if he respawns. So just good to keep in mind that if he dies right here, this push is over, even though he has an Aegis. So he doesn't want to do that. He wants to go back. He's going to go back to town, regenerate on his main Meepo, be able to poof back whatever other Meepos are injured. So poof back these 3, pull his main one out, poof back the 4th one, and then they can all have full health. See, he just poofs out the ones that are low on health. And then he's going to poof his main one back once he's ready. But for now, he just has this guy here. Kind of like Ember Spirit as well. You can maximize your fountain efficiency by doing that. Now, he did go back to town. He didn't buy anything, but he did get some more hit points. He still is 1,000 short, but that's okay. That's alrighty.
Dire's top tower, you know the drill.
So Axe was able to catch out Timbersaw. Probably be able to get a Hex on him. The Shiva's Guard is really good against Meepo, but it doesn't really matter too much. See, they just can't really kill him. He has so many hit points and so much armor that they just can't kill him. And even if they do, he comes back. So he is back. And they're going to be able to just kill him, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory what's going to happen here. But I want to point out that from the awful, awful start that the entire team of Scythe is having, Meracle, as well as the rest of the team, obviously, but Meracle was able to come back on an 0-5 Meepo, and now he is 12-8. So he was able to get a lot done. But as you can see, 2 Vaxes are done. It's pretty well game over. Scythe was actually able to take that head on, and yeah, they're bad mannering. But anyway, that's about all of the analysis I have for the game. We can see from the item build that he is actually going to go for a Manta style next. I mean, I've watched the replay, so I know what it is, but yeah, he's going for Manta style next. And yeah, so I do want to talk for a few minutes about what you guys can do for your Meepo games, because obviously a pro Meepo game is a little different than, hey, I've got this guy in this compendium and I've never played him before, and what his ultimate makes another one that just dies. So what do I do? Like I said before, the best thing you can do is to just focus on not dying and try to get used to using two areas at the same time. Just because if you're not, you're basically just one hero and not really getting any efficiency out of it. The most important thing to learn is how to do the poof bomb, where you can poof with all of your heroes at the same time. If you opt to go for that blink dagger, which you probably won't for one compendium game, you have your other ones on a hotkey, and you use the tab button more than anything else. So you tab poof, tab poof, tab poof, tab poof, and where you click the poof is the Meepo will try to poof to the Meepo closest to that area you click. So that's really useful when you're teleporting, because once that timer gets to 1.5 seconds before the teleport, you can start poofing the other Meepo on top of that same tower, and he will poof there because the other Meepo is there. So at the time that the poof goes off, he will try to poof to the closest Meepo to that point that you clicked on. So you can actually use that for blink poofs, as well as just poofing after you teleport to have all your Meepos around and available. But like I was saying, is when you play your games, you should focus on trying to stack camps if you're comfortable stacking. If you're not comfortable stacking, not a big deal. And that's more important than getting that extra last hit in the lane. Obviously, lane farm is the most important, but if you can do that with 2 and stack in the jungle, fantastic. If you're not comfortable with that, just keep your 2 Meepos in the lane. 2 Meepos in the lane is amazingly powerful. Like, amazingly powerful. You have 2 heroes with full right-click damage at level 3. So, it's really, really strong, and all you really need to focus on is landing the nets and knowing how to poof. I mean, it sounds super complex when you see people do complex plays where they have 2 Meepos here, 2 Meepos here, 1 Meepo here, one dances out, one did whatever. It's a lot simpler than it looks, honestly. And you'll see a lot of people who are like, oh, Meepo player, oh yeah, Meepo player, you know, Meepo's hard. It's like, it looks a lot harder than it is, but at the highest level, it is, yes, it is really hard. I know, I played Meepo a lot, so get treads. I would say get treads. Tranquil boots are really good too, just because you get your health back. But getting treads will make you more tanky. So if you're at the really low levels, just to keep your treads so your hit points are up. Good. Obviously, splitting is good. I would say do not go to 2 lanes at the same time unless your map awareness is really, really good. Because that is the most dangerous thing you can do as Meepo, is be like, oh, that lane's free and that lane's free. I'm going to go to the 2 lanes. And then somebody ganks you in one lane and you can't pay attention to both at the same time, obviously, and you die. That's why one jungle and one lane, or both in lane, when you have the little Meepos. So, keep that going, and yeah. And try to stack, like I said, try to stack the large camp while killing the small camp with your Meepo in the jungle, or a medium camp if you're level 5 or so. Because if you can keep stacking the large camp once you get a triple stack, you can go there with both Meepos, and then you can gain a full level. Pardon me 1 second. Alright. Way better. So, you can get triple the experience, essentially, by just waiting until it's a triple stack. Actually, triple the experience. Yeah. And then once your Meepo gets level 10, keep the 2 other Meepos together at all times, and your main Meepo at a separate spot if you're comfortable with that. If not, don't feel like you've lost if you have to put all your Meepos together in the same spot. It's obviously better to keep them elsewhere, but it's more important to keep them alive than it is anything else. Dead Meepos get 0 gold and 0 experience. Or, I mean, you get passive gold, but no experience. So, it's better to stay alive if all else fails. But being able to control 2 groups, one in the jungle, one at a lane, shouldn't be too hard. You just focus on the lane one for the most part, and you just A to attack and click on the other camp, and then use those 2 to poof on top of the camp. And if your main one gets in trouble in the lane, just poof him to wherever the one is in the jungle. So it'll keep you a lot safer. I would say try to get used to that, because it's super important and the key to playing Meepo. And once you, as far as items go, like I said, treads or tranquil boots. Boots of travel are not suggested early on, because it's just way too risky. That 2,000 gold is a blink dagger, and blink dagger gets kills. Boots of travel gets marginal amounts of farm at that level, because it's incredibly dangerous to get it. And if you just boots of travel in, you'll die most of the time. So, yeah, I would say the blink dagger is obviously way better, just for the gold that early on in the game. So, treads or tranquil boots, go into the scepter. Some people will say mech, some people will say Vlad's. Ignore that. Unless you're playing support. Support with mech is okay. I've done that, and it's fine. Mech and Vlad's on the support Meepo is just fine. But go into Ag Scepter, and then after the Scepter, you go directly into stat items. So if you got Tranquils early, switch to Treads right away. My super standard build that I used to do, if you're not going for Blink Dagger, I just got easy build-up items. So I'd get like Treads and then Bracer. Like if you're doing really bad, Treads, Bracer into Drums, and then Ghost Scepter. Because the Ghost Scepter can turn into the F-Blade, which is the most efficient stat item with agility on it in the game. And it adds the effect of you have an extra damage item if you manage to use it. Even if you don't, it's still incredibly worth it. So I just go with the Dreadlocks, you know. The Drums and the Treads and the Ghost Scepter. And then each Meepo has like 2,200 hit points and 12 armor. So he's super duper tanky, all of them. And then at that time you have 4 Meepos. So, and it's just all about focusing on the right hero. When you're in team fights, what you should try and do, net a hero if you can. If you don't cry about it. It's not that the end of the world if you miss nets. Use tab a lot. Highlight all your Meepos, use tab. You know, try to net 1. If it doesn't work, tab, try to do it again. But you do have to lead it a bit. If you're in the middle of a team fight, what you should do is you should wait until big AoE spells are done, because most likely somebody on the enemy team is a jerk and picks Earthshaker and Lich and all that stuff. I mean, like, I've gotten used to playing against them, but it sucks. Like, you just have to watch it. So if there's a big AoE hero like a Tidehunter or Enigma, something like that, just wait for it. Just keep your main Meepo there and just wait for it. And then after that spell is cast, if it's a channeling spell, throw a net and cancel it. Crystal Maiden, Enigma, something like that. You can throw the net and just completely cancel it. But after the big spells are cast, then you can run in and you can run in with your other Meepos, and then you will destroy everything. The important things in the middle of the team fight after that happens is you want to right-click on one dude, obviously, and it will slow him down. Certain heroes like Lifestealer, who you may think are really good because they have Magic Immunity, are not good because your Geostrike goes through Magic Immunity, and you can't do anything about that as Lifestealer. So you're moving at 100 base, your base 100 move speed, and can't run away even with your with your rage going. And you can just right click one guy. And the only other thing you should be paying attention to in the team fights, if you're feeling comfortable, feel free to poof all your Meepos at the same time in the team fight because you'll get massive kills. If not, that's okay. Just focus on whichever Meepo they are trying to attack. You've got the big thing up in the top left corner, right up there. If we go back into the game, I'll show you. Maybe I will. Maybe nope, I can't show it to you. Just kidding. So, just like Lone Druid, you have a thing right up here that shows all 5 Meepos. And what you can do is you can just click on that one, and then, or double click on that one. It'll center it on him, and then you just click him out of the fight. Or you just click on him once because you have all your Meepos on the same screen, and then click back at your home base. Just get him out of there. And then you just have to box click for all the rest of the ones that are still there. That is the most important thing, is that you just get that Meepo out of the fight and just keep fighting with the rest of them. And it's not too bad. So, yeah, that would be my suggested build. Go Treads or Tranquils, Scepter. Make sure you have Treads after Scepter because 16 strength is huge. And then get Drums, and then get Ghost Scepter. It's very straightforward, very easy. And then after that, you can get like Heart if you need the raw hit points for tons of magic damage. You can finish out your F-Blade. You can go for Manta Style. You can go for Eye. Eye would actually be a really good choice then because it's just massive more stats. Massive, massive more stats. So, yeah, just in general, get the stat items and go for it. Cool. That should help you out a lot. You'd be surprised how well you can just win a game as Meepo just with that strategy. Just getting that, literally that item order. The hardest buildup is obviously the Scepter, but once you get the Scepter, I mean, come on, people get Lich Scepter all the time and Keeper of the Light Scepter, so can't be too bad on a Meepo, right? So you will be able to get it eventually, and then you just get Bracers and Drums and Ghost Scepter because those all build up super, super fast, and it'll skyrocket you to be online and able to team fight even without that Blink Dagger. You'll be able to just walk into a fight and then just, if you get one net, they're dead. Yeah! And then you just right click them down. Like, it's not too bad. Poof is extremely powerful if you're comfortable with poofing all your Meepos at the same time, obviously. It's extraordinarily powerful, but not terribly important if you're just trying to get that one win. Obviously, later on, it's better. I touched on the support Meepo items. Tranquil Boots, Mechanism, Blads. I usually get Scepter, honestly, on support Meepo because I play him a little differently. People don't like to farm all the time in all the lanes in pub games. So I'm able to roam with one Meepo, stack a jungle camp, or farm a lane, like middle lane, because we have a Pudge on our team and he wants to gank. So I go with him with one Meepo, farm the lane with another Meepo, or stack the jungle, and then I'm able to get the Scepter pretty quickly. I usually go Tranquil Boots, Blink, Scepter. And then from there, go into a carry build. That's just what I do. I mean, it works out like pretty much all the time. It's kind of silly. But anywho, that's Meepo, that's Meracle, and that's an awesome game. So feel free to send your questions to me, RoopleeTV, at gmail.com. Check me out YouTube, RoopleeTV, or you can check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/Rooplee. So that's all I've got for you. Yeah, and like I said, once I start getting email submissions, I'll go ahead and do a Sunday fun day. But until then, I do not have that in the works. I'm just going to do the Monday night and the Tuesday night. So that's all I've got. Sweet. I will see you guys next time. Have a good evening. Yeah, this is a TI4 game, so I will just go ahead and let you watch it. There's the game ID right there. 664-732-744, and I have it in the YouTube comments. Alrighty. Peace out, guys. I'll see you next time.